Welcome to the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. I am Joanna Chadwick of the Wichita Eagle and VarsityKansas.com, and we're taping here at KSN. My guest today is Heights football coach Terry Harrison. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the defense. I just can't get past what you guys have done the past 2 weeks. I mean, you've given up a total of 6 points. Talk a little bit about how dominating this team is right now when it comes to defense.
Well, we have a lot of guys coming back, and I think that really helps. You know, some kids that have played since they were sophomores. So they've played in big games. They understand how to prepare. You know, we feel like our defensive line is as good as any defensive line in the state of Kansas. So, you know, those guys, Carlos Taylor, DeAndre Spires, Trayon Hayes, and a newcomer, Q Thomas, they've really been dominant. And then when you match that up with the rest of our kids, we just have good team speed right now, and they're getting better every day. And, you know, that's been fun to watch because, you know, we've played really well, but we still have so much to fix and know that we have a long way to go. So it'll be fun to see where they're at week 7, 8, 9.
When you start off the season, though, where the defense, I think we always kind of assume the defense is going to be a little bit ahead of the offense anyway. But when your defense is playing so well, what are you able to do when you just kind of plan for the future? I mean, because that's a critical part of a team.
Yeah, I think in the past I would agree with that, but you know, with the summer rules now, we do so much stuff in the summer, along with everybody. I mean, it's not like we're the only school that do a lot of camps and practices in the summer. So, you know, I don't know that I agree with that completely as far as, you know, where it used to be the defense was so far ahead. But you know, right now, you know, they did improve in the summer. We do have a couple new starters, but what they've done is just showing up every day and playing as a group. And you know, when you win games big, kind of like we had the first 2 weeks, they really haven't played a lot of snaps because they're getting 3 and outs. So what they've done is, you know, they're not so much worried about individual statistics. They're worried about, you know, how are we playing as a unit? How are we grading out as a unit? And I think that's what makes this group special right now, and that's been what's fun to watch. They're much more concerned with, you know, how are they playing as a group as opposed to individually what my stats might be like.
Let's talk a little bit about the offense too, which, I mean, you've got, again, a lot of kids in that backfield that you can really turn to. Talk about some of those guys and what they've been able to do so far.
Well, I've been most impressed. Our biggest improvement week 1 to week 2 is our offensive line. And we're starting 5 seniors up front. And, you know, they love playing together. They're doing the little things right, and they're putting their time in, trying to get, you know, the small things better to get us ready for week 7, 8, 9, which is our ultimate goal. But no, we have 3 senior running backs that are all returning starters that, you know, all played in our playoff games last year. Our 2 receivers are both seniors this year, and they've done really well. And really our only junior starter is our quarterback, Garrett Haskins, and he's got a lot better week 1 to week 2 as well. And I am excited to see where he'll be week 7, 8, 9 when it really matters. But it's been fun to watch him. It's just a different feel. It's funny to see, you know, and it's only my 2nd year as a head coach. But to see a different group of seniors, and it's not right or wrong, and it's not better or worse, but just to see the way they interact as opposed to last year. And, you know, I know it'll be a new group next year, but this group this year, they like being around each other, they like preparing, they like lifting weights, they like practice, they like all that stuff and being around each other. So that's been fun to watch.
Well, and talk a little bit, too, about that week 1 to week 2. I've had coaches tell me over and over again that that's the biggest difference that you're going to see in your team is and why is that? You know,
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just the, you know, that first game and that first week. There's so much buzz and so much excitement, which is really fun to be a part of. But I think you settle in a little bit and you realize that, you know, it's not that. You kind of find out. I think we have a lot of grinders on our team, if that's a word you could use, I guess, that they like to prepare, they like to practice, and I think as the season goes on, that's what you kind of see with good teams. Is it's not so much the you know, that week 1 where everybody can be excited. It's that week 2 after you start coaching some things and fixing some of the mistakes, and the kids that respond to that is kind of, I think maybe that's what you see, is that they respond well to getting coached, and they work to improve mistakes and without the excitement of week 1, if that makes sense.
Talk about the difference in starting your season off the way you have with Southeast and South, 2 huge wins, and then now you head to Dodge City, you've got Carroll on the horizon. Talk a little bit about just where the focus with the team now has to be.
Well, I think every game we play from here on out is a playoff team. I don't think we have any teams that aren't either legitimate playoff contenders or guaranteed playoff contenders. So that it's good for us because we, you know, Dodge City's a great game. We have to travel. You know, you get that practice of getting on a bus and making a trip out to Western Kansas, and they do great things there. You know, I think our defense versus their offense is a great matchup. But, you know, that's what's good. And then Carroll obviously is going to be a big game. But then East, West, and over Emporia Cape. And I mean, there's not a game on our schedule where you can look at and be like, okay, there's our break. So it's going to be good, and I think our kids are up for that challenge.
Talk a little bit too about 5A. You guys dropped down to 5A, which I think 5A has gotten so ridiculously tough. We had Mays South move up. West High did move up to 6A, but Mays High dropped down into 5A. You guys are in 5A. Right now I go Carroll, Mays, and you guys for my top 3. That's a ridiculous amount of talent, and that's not even including the Salina South, you know, in Class 5A. I mean, how tough are those playoffs looking? Yeah,
you know, it's pretty good, you know, and it's fun. You know, I think it makes you better is what it does. When you're looking down the pipe and you know, hey, it could be Mays you end up playing, it could be Carroll, it could be Salina South, Mays South, any of these schools, it makes you prepare. You know, I think playing Bishop Carroll every year makes you better. And I mean, you're either going to get better or, you know, you're going to pay for it. But no, it's definitely loaded. You know, we did some camps this summer with Mays. We do that every year, and we got to see them and practice with them for a few days. And they're well coached, and they have some really good players. So we know what they have, and then obviously playing Carroll every year, you know, we know what that game's about. So, but no, it's loaded. And Capon, so I didn't even mention Capon. You know, they beat us last year, and we think they're really good again. So. You know, no, there's no week off. I think 5A is really good. I do think that the top of 5A and 6A, it really, when you get to this, you know, the last 8 teams, the last 4, I don't know that there's a real big difference. The hard part is not knowing. You know, in the past, you kind of look and say, okay, these are kind of the top 4, and you kind of have an idea. But right now, you know, you're looking at whoever it is, whether it's us or somebody else. You know, your last 2 games could be a Carroll Mays, it could be a Salina South Carroll, Cape and Mays, in any combination. And you know, they're vastly different teams, do a lot of different stuff, so it's going to be fun to watch late in the season.
All right, well, we still have a lot of games before that, so I won't make you jump too far ahead. But thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it, and good luck this week in Dodge.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching the VarsityKansas.com Big Show, and make sure to check out my Q&A that will appear on Varsity Kansas on Wednesday morning. You can check out rankings right now for football. Volleyball will be coming up later this week. Soccer and girls tennis are up on VarsityKansas.com as well. If you've got a story idea, feel free to reach out to me. You can catch me on email, jchadwick@wichitaeagle.com, or on Twitter @Joanna Chadwick. Thanks so much for watching the VarsityKansas.com Big Show.